This is Fred Beck from Fred Talks Fighting. I'm down here today at London Shoot Fighters with Alexis. It's been a little bit of time, so I'd last come down here to interview you. How's life treating you outside of all the training?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to have anything outside of all the training, but it's going really well. Yeah, everything's really good. Guys are fighting, guys are winning, and we've got lots and lots of fights on the horizon. So. And
you're coming to the Qatar card?
Yeah, so we want a little bit of a scouting mission, have check out a few things on top of. I think just being the first show of Misfits in this sort of place, we want to make sure we're on point with everything, and we've got JJ with us as well. He'll be out there, so we'll get a bunch of work in as well. Be nice.
You've been to Qatar before?
I have briefly been. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, briefly.
How long ago?
Maybe 12 years ago.
So now it's be completely different.
Yeah, it's like before Dubai got Dubai, if you know what I mean. Before they put so much money into the infrastructure, that was a bit different.
Are you going to stay after for the F1? That's why it's happening on a Thursday, because you got the F1 Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We've been invited for the whole sort of super weekend of it all. And I haven't been invited yet for it. I've talked to some people.
There's a football match, quite a big one, and then Misfits card, and then the F1.
Yeah, I haven't heard about the football match either. Blimey. Did you see the F1 last weekend?
No, I didn't get a chance to watch.
Well, you're not a proper fan then?
No, not a massive fan. I mean, I've been to a fair few F1s, but not fanatic. I used to be back in the day when they used to be like Schumachers and Ayrton Sennas, and like a long time ago, like proper drivers. But yeah, no, it's a bit different now. But yeah,
now they're all a lot more friendly than what they used to be. It used to be a lot more competitive. Well, it is still competitive, but the drivers are a lot more friendly, hang around with each other, play paddle with each other.
Yeah, I remember when even drivers on the same team used to hate each other from overtaking each other and stuff. But back in the day with the Ayrton Sennas or the Schumachers, and it was unbelievable.
They got Brazil this weekend, I guess. Ayrton we mentioned. Anyway, we're going off topic. We'll run through the Qatar card. We'll start off Gibb and Slim. Quite a competitive fight. Who are you picking for this one?
I think there's an inactivity aspect from Gibb that you don't know what Gibb might show. Also, I think stylistically or habitually he's a slow starter, but once he gets going, he's obviously got a nice tenacious style and comes forward, and we've sparred him as well, so he's definitely got power in his hands. And I think Slim, has got that ability to kind of have an ugly fight or a bad fight and then come back out of it and find that shot that, he's always got a stiff shot on him. I think I would probably go with, Slim early and Gibb late if I was gonna call it.
That's the classic one. That's like when KSI fought Logan Paul. Everyone said Logan early, KSI late for the rematch. Yeah. So everyone's kind of going the early here, late here. But you had to pick one winner though.
If I had to pick one, I'd say probably Slim just on activity. Just on activity, just because he's been fighting more regular, having kind of wars, which are similar to the kind of fights that he's going to be fighting. Whereas I think Gibb probably potentially got more talent and maybe a harder punch. And arguably maybe even kind of almost the same as cardio, but I just think the lack of activity is going to be the key. It's how well you spar, really. If you're not fighting regularly like Slim, then you should be doing so many rounds in the gym, it should be ridiculous, just to keep that rust off.
Slim would have had about 13 months out, and Gibb would have had about 15 or 16 months out.
Yeah, but one's been back-to-back in fights, and the other one hasn't. You know what I mean? So I think it's just the activity of it's not just the activity of between fights, it's fight camps and fights. Mm-hmm. So when you have 5 fights in a row, it means you've got 5 camps in a row. So 5 blocks of 8 to 10 weeks of solid work and solid sparring. So I think that Slim's got that in the bank, whereas Gibb might not, because he wasn't focusing on boxing.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. Would you make it? It's got very personal. KSI's kind of gone against Gibb. KSI's team Slim for this one. That surprised you?
I mean, not really. I think ultimately, you've got one thing about if we take Slim out, if you put Slim in the equation of fighting JJ, I mean, I think it's ridiculous. I don't think he can, if I'm honest with you. But when you look at it from a fan perspective of Misfits, I think Slim's a good product. Like, he's a product of Misfits. He's fought in Misfits a lot. He's had some barn burners where he's had issues. He's almost got like do or die fight against Zinetti, or right. Then he do or die fight against Papi where he's losing and coming back to win. And he's a Misfits fighter. He's a solid Misfits fighter. So I think to be as a boss, as somebody who owns Misfits as a product, I think you'd be silly not to support Slim. That makes sense. Gibbs, a lovely guy, and I'm sure he'll do numbers, and he can fight. There's no doubt that he can't fight. Of course he can fight. But I think if from JJ picking Slim, I can see the perspective of it.
Is it not also that Gibbs gone after Misfits quite a few times, and at the end of the day, that's KSI's bread and butter, it's KSI's business?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's very difficult for a fighter to go after a show that pays him. I mean, I think that's just slightly marketing, which is cool. But you can't take it personal. But what you can do is say, Slim's a product of Misfits. He's a Misfits fighter. There's majority of his fights, if not all of them, on Misfits. Mm-hmm. And he's a product of Misfits, of KSI show. So I can understand supporting him, and I understand where that's coming from. I think the whole Gibb thing, kind of slating Misfits, is slightly off key. It's a bit weird considering they're paying you. Yeah. And if you want another payday, it's not like, listen, let's be real. There aren't any other influence shows out there that pay this kind of money. Mm-hmm. There isn't. They don't exist.
Well, they'll do it and they'll go bankrupt.
And not pay you.
Yeah.
So they don't. Yeah. So they just don't exist. So for whatever people talk about the numbers and this that, and the other, we're all in the industry, and we know for a fact that there isn't. So it's I get it. It's kind of a cool thing to do to kind of be rebellious against your boss, but at the end of the day, they pay the bills.
That's true. At the end of the day, KSI and Gibb, they sparred about 2 years ago.
Yep.
When you guys were coaching KSI, that's correct.
Yeah.
How did the spar go?
Yeah, look, I wouldn't really go into like massive amounts of detail because I don't think it's good to sort of kiss and tell. But I think when they used to spar before to when they sparred after we coached JJ, there was a big difference. Mm-hmm. And they can both talk about it themselves. But they were both in. We made sure they were both in 16-ounce gloves. JJ was in like 20-ounce gloves. Made sure they were both wearing headgear and just kept it very even and very fair.
And this was when before Misfits time, was it? Before KSI fought Swarms?
Yes, just before his first fight.
Gibb must have been gearing up to McBroom.
Yeah.
And then coming off the Taylor Holder fight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so, it was all just a lot of time people would swing sparring like, I wasn't ready for it, or they change gloves and stuff. Just in sparring camps, we've always figured that everyone wears the same glove, everyone wears the same, your preferred headgear, but everyone wears the same glove. We don't want there to be any discrepancy on glove weight. People saying that they've been, had smaller gloves or bigger gloves, or if someone gets a cut, which has happened to us. We've had, we had sparring camps for like current WBC heavyweight champions, and they've worn 18-ounce gloves, and they've been a different kind of glove, and we've got cuts off of them with headgear, with VAS, with big gloves. Whereas when we put guys in the same gloves, generally we get a good result. So we try and keep it like that.
What gloves do you use?
For some heavyweights, we've got 20s or 22s.
Like brand is Fly.
Fly a lot of the time. Fly 18s and 20s are unbelievable spar gloves. They're so protective of the hands. They're fantastic. Those would be my preferred gloves. But otherwise, to be fair, a bunch of gloves make good big gloves. Mm-hmm. Everyone wants good small gloves, but I don't see a point in using them because if you're sparring 30 rounds a week, 40 rounds a week, what are you going to wear small gloves for? You're going to hurt each other and get cut. Or hurt your hands even worse, and then you don't fight. So, in my opinion, nice well-wrapped hands, big gloves, we get through lots and lots of rounds, get into deep waters, find out our mistakes, but not get penalised too badly for it.
And, I can see your point. And it's good. You want even. Then it's all an even playing field. There's no one's got the upper hand or whatever.
A lot of the time, people will just bring in some moody gloves. Like people are bringing a pair of gloves, and you're like, they're not 16s, bro. Like you can't spar in those. It's ridiculous. If you want to spar in 10s, cool. We spar bare knuckle. We've got bare knuckle fight. We don't mind not using gloves or using gloves, but if you're going to try and keep it fair, I think you should keep it fair. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the difference. And also, I think when it comes to kind of high-profile fighters or YouTubers, or there's a clout thing as well. So, you want to keep it 100% fair so that no one can be like, oh, you jumped me, or you put me in small gloves, or...
You don't want any if, buts, or maybes.
I think so. I think it's super important to be fair. Also, I've seen it with kids. I've seen guys, 11-year-olds go to spar, and one guy puts a moody pair of gloves on an 11-year-old. You're like, what the are you doing? It's an 11-year-old. You're not going to hurt a kid. Like, everyone should be wearing big, nice, padded gloves to spar. Mm-hmm. That's what it's about.
I know that kind of Gibbs hinted to it, and KSI has made a few comments. Is it a possible fight, KSI versus Gibb, in the future, if Gibb does beat Slim?
Yeah, I mean, I think all these fights are possible. I think it's how big can it be? I mean, Gibbs got to be on a bit of a win streak to do it. Like, he's got to fight a few more times, I think. I'll be honest with you, the way KSI's sparring and who he's sparring and the level that he's at, I think going backwards is probably not the right thing for his career. There might be money in it, which is not my business, which I think people can market and get. But realistically speaking, he's on a different level to influencers. He's on boxing level.
So KSI is on a different level to Gibb.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, you'd say KSI is on a different level to every influencer boxer, 100%. Right. Yeah, 100%. There's no way the guys on the influencer scene are going to be sparring the guys that he's sparring, or doing the fitness work that he's doing, or doing the punch work that he's doing. It's an impossibility, only because if they were, they'd be professional boxers.
Mm-hmm. If that was to happen, how do you reckon it would go? if they were to fight tomorrow?
Yeah, I think from what I've seen and from what I know of firsthand, I think KSI would easily beat him. I think it's not. I just don't think it's very relevant at the moment. Not saying Gib can't get better or wouldn't, like, after these fights, be in a place where he could challenge or whatever. No problem. But I think just right now where we are, the camps that we've done, like even from the Tommy Fury camp, like, there's no chance that an influencer's having that level of boxing or doing as well as JJ arguably winning that fight. That it's just an impossibility for those guys.
We'll never know.
Yeah, well, I just think the only way to know is really to spar. And that's what we did.
Would you have Gib come down and spar KSI again?
Gib's always welcome to come down anytime. Yeah, anyone's always able to come up and roll up in a respectful manner. Anyone can come here anytime, from Slim, Gib, whoever, in a respectful manner. If it's disrespectful, they might not be able to leave. But if it's respectful, no problem at all. I have no problem sparring anyone at any time. But it's got to be done in a respectful manner, because that's the kind of place that we run.
We had the thing last time when we spoke where you were saying AT could come down here and spar.
Absolutely. 100%.
AT's pretty good now, though.
I think AT's always been pretty good. Like, he's got more confidence. He's learning to cross step. I have no issue with him at all. But I saw him also fight Idris, and Idris pieced him up easy.
Now it's different AT.
Well, the AT got dropped like 3 times or 4 times in that fight. This Idris is way different as well. I don't think those guys. I think AT on an influencer level is very, very good, and he's obviously a combative professional athlete. Right. So he's doing much, much better. But if he wants to fight Idris again, sure, fight Idris again. Like, that's your guy, right? He shouldn't really be going from influencer to influencer now. So that again, that's my opinion. But happy for him to come over and test it, or happy to sign a fight and do it. No problem at all.
The fight will be more money. More money is better.
Yeah, that's what we're at the end of the day, we are prize fighters. Yeah. You put any money in our faces, it's our job to take the fight for money. That's what we do for a living. So there'll be no person that will be avoided for money. That's just not how we roll.
No, certainly. The shoot fighter's way. Moving down the card, we also got Jay Swingler versus Nich, LMAO. Were you there in Telford for that fight?
Yeah.
I wasn't there.
Yeah, I think I was
there. Were you there?
Yeah, I think I was there. Yeah, I think I was there. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting...
I watched that fight. I didn't even watch that fight on what happened on the day. I watched like the last 2 rounds. I watched it back fully yesterday, and I had it as a draw to just 2-2. Yeah, look, it's an interesting fight. I mean, how much more work is Jay going to put into boxing? Like, how much more work is he going to put into it? It all really depends on how serious people take this. Like, drop that late night food, do that run, cut that. How much discipline is he going to have to come back into it? Because he's obviously got something to him, that can fight and punch. But is he going to... it's just all about work ethic, I think. And I think if these guys put it in, because they're disciplined in their industries, if they put it in, I think they can do it. Yeah. But then I guess Nick's had 2 fights since then. Jay's had the time off, so
that's what I mean.
Nich would be the favourite for that one, or Jay won the last one, so you pick Jay to be the favourite.
Yeah, I mean, you'd say the active fighter is probably going to be the favourite, but ultimately it all depends how the other guy, how Jay comes back from his time off. Like, you either have complete time off, which doesn't really do anyone any good, or you have time off where you're working on your mistakes. Right. And you're working on your fitness and you're working on getting better, and those things tend to be more attractive on the comeback. Those are the things that you want to look for, rather than someone just, I'm going to do an 8-week camp. Yeah, that's not what you want to hear. You don't want to see an 8-week camp. It's not enough. 8 weeks is nothing. It's if you're lucky to do 2 sparring sessions a week and not get injured, that's literally 6 spars, because the last week you're not going to spar. It's literally, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. 12 spars, you're done. It's not enough.
No.
Yeah.
Who'd you pick?
I think it's a close fight. I think maybe you got the element of Jay knowing what he's in for and knowing how hard he has to train, and maybe the fear factor of the other kid winning 2 fights. Mm-hmm. So it might push him to push his fitness. I think that the fitter guy is going to win that fight.
The fitter guy, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think it's a matter of skill.
Well, speaking about skill, King Kenny, sort of Papi, 2 of the most skilled boxers in the influencer scene. They're finally fighting. It's been talked about for a long time. I guess you would have seen them both fight quite a few times at different events. Yeah. It's a really, really good boxing matchup. I think if you put this fight on a normal kind of matchroom card or Queensberry card low down, you wouldn't notice the difference, would you? No, you could have that fight in your call. You could have that fight in your call, no problem, and it'd be a fun fight. You've got a patient orthodox fighter against a counter-punching southpaw. You know what I mean? It's all about how hard you want to assert your will. If you assert your will too much on Salt without giving the respect or finding the range, you can get clipped with that counter. And vice versa, if Salt doesn't put that jab work in, he's not going to build up the points to provoke the action from Kenny to get the counter that he wants. So it's a fun fight, but it could be slow burner until someone
puts the pace on us. When someone pushes the pace on, I think that's going to be a fun fight. But if they both sit back, it might not be as fun as we want it.
Yeah, I reckon it'll be one of those. It starts off slow and it gets more as it goes. I reckon it'll go that way.
Once that range comes into play, once someone throws a jab, finds that range, and they try and counter that range, it's going to be on. But Kenny's going to be looking for a straight right. That's what they do with southpaws. And the southpaw's going to be looking to step off to the side and counter. That's what they're going to be looking to do.
Well, Kenny's fought quite a lot of southpaws. You've seen with Kenny that when it gets scrappy, he finds it more difficult. But when it gets technical, that's when he's in his zone. Yeah. So it's interesting if Papi will go when he fought Ferrari, it's more of a scrappy fight. Yeah, it'll be like that.
Pace. Well, it's all about pace. I think, realistically speaking, the fast pace will suit Salt more than it will suit Kenny. And he wants to do that by putting his front hand out and pacing up and finding pressure. But I think if Kenny settles down and sees the shots coming and uses his range, because he's got long arms, he can control that fight. It's a fun fight. Yeah, it's a good fight.
It is good one for sure. Any of these fights could be main event. And then you've also got Deji on the card, but no opponent yet. And then Jarvis, Ben Williams. You were there in, when was it, January in Leeds, I remember. Yeah. I remember you and Mario standing up like that when Elle knocked AJ out. Yeah. And you were like, no more.
Elle hit with perfectly timed overhand, right? Mm-hmm. She was slumped out. There was no point in counting it. It was done.
That Leeds card. That's the best. That's my favourite card of the year, I think.
She's improved a lot as well. Elle. Yeah, improved massively. Massive improvement with her game as well.
Do you think she wins the Paige rematch?
Yeah, definitely. She's just got to do a few more things. She obviously, with a good coach and doing their thing. But I think there's a few more things that could be added to her game to draw out the opponent a little bit more. Things. I think feinting out the pocket is what she's doing, but she's got to feint in the pocket a little bit more to get the draws because she's short. If she feints out the pocket, sometimes she can't capitalise on the shot. But if she feints in the pocket and gets the person to throw, she can definitely land the overhand right. So she's got to be a touch closer. The feinting outside of the pocket is almost like overworking and getting underpaid. You don't need to overwork out the pocket. Not much is going on. I know you can do it to distract somebody, and I understand there's lots of reasons, but just for me, when you deal with when you're a shorter fighter, and you're trying to find that overhand or find that power shot, or find that straight body, what you're doing, it's nice to feint in the pocket and draw the shot out, and then be in range to land, rather than having to re-step again. It helps.
We'll see. I guess we'll see what Paige is doing. I know she's done a few things with power slap, which obviously power slap. You like power slap? Did you find that crazy?
Yeah, no, I'm not a fan. No. Yeah, no, it's not for me. We get paid to hit and not get hit.
If one of your fighters wanted to do it, if KSI got offered, would you be like no? Or if it was crazy money, you'd be like yeah, or no?
Money is irrelevant for that. I'm not going to let another man come up and slap me or slap one of them. It's just I find the whole thing ridiculous. I think it's ludicrous.
But it's very viral. It's very viral content,
People getting knocked out, like literally, someone getting a free punch. I just think the whole point of fighting, the whole point of fighting is
the art of defense.
Yeah, it's the art of hitting and not getting hit, and also being able to defend yourself. So having your hands behind your back. Again, it's just, I don't know, it just doesn't, don't get me wrong, I've watched the viral clips, some of it's funny, no problem, but it doesn't, I'm not offended by it, but I'm just like, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Well, yeah, it's quite mental. It's all the TikTok clips and all the social media clips that go so viral. Yeah. Because you just can't not watch it, you know. If it's on TV, you'll watch it because someone's just getting chinned, but it's mental, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's
to the casual audience, which is the main audience every fight promotion aims for, that's what they go for, really, isn't it?
You're getting that viral, you're getting that exact thing, so dopamine. You're getting the exact thing that you want. I want to see that guy get knocked out.
And it's so fast as well. It's not like boxing a 12-round fight. You get it like the first 2 minutes.
No, there's decisions as well in it. Like, really? It's nuts. And when you look at it, look, the concept's great, and the fact that it's making money is great, and the fact that people are getting paid is great. The issue is, it's not something that I'm interested in being part of, but I don't mind watching it. I'm okay with it, but it's not for me. Yeah. You know? And there's no, I don't think they're athletes. As it were.
Yeah. They're quite big guys. Yeah. Fitness doesn't really come into the equation. No. So I was talking about the Leeds card, and I was mentioning that because Ben Williams was on it, and he had a good performance against Fez Batista. Yep. Then he fought Warren Spencer, which wasn't as good performance.
But this guy's he's got accolades as an amateur, right? Mm-hmm. So he's got a pedigree, like a national champion pedigree.
No, not to that level.
Wasn't it?
I think he had like.
Did he win the novices?
I don't believe so. Maybe.
I thought he won the novices.
Maybe you might be right then.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Okay. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely got the crowd behind him, and he's got a good vibe and a good energy about him. But obviously, he seems to always be in a war, which is.
Jarvis loves the war as well.
Yeah, and Jarvis is way more technical. You can tell Jarvis likes boxing. Like he enjoys learning boxing. He's improved a lot. But it'll be an interesting fight. That'll be a really fun fight.
Who do you pick for this one? You
got to go with Ben. But I wouldn't be surprised if Jarvis won it. But I'd say it'd be close because Jarvis is a game fighter. You see him sparring quite often around the world. You see him putting a lot into things, even his last fight on Misfits. Who was his last fight on Misfits, Jarvis?
He fought B-Dave in York Hall last November.
And he traumatised B-Dave, right? Like, traumatised him. Like, it was like, no one liked watching that fight. Like, he beat him up bad, right?
Nice,
yeah, so he's definitely got attributes, and he's improved. It's just the trajectory of his improvement. Because Jarvis, again, you can't treat him like an influencer. He can box. Mm-hmm. So if Ben thinks he's walking in for an influencer fight, like with someone like Fairs, or it's a different kind of... Jarvis is not that kind of guy. He's the kind of guy that's going to bring it, take it, roll. But I think Ben's got a better chin, potentially, just from being in it a bit more. That's probably where it goes to. Mm-hmm. Again, who's fitter, who's more comfortable. But my money would be on Ben if I had to bet.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair indeed. No, it is a very, very good night of fights, and more will be announced in the next few days. Jake Paul Tyson is happening. I can't wait. I've got my tickets. I'm on the... Oh, no. I'll be there.
I want to start a GoFundMe to stop him from fighting. If we can raise like the 30 million they're paying him so he doesn't fight, I'd love to do that. Mm. How old is Mike now? 59?
58.
58 or 59?
58.
58. Turning 59 very soon.
Is he?
This year.
The day after the fight. Oh. No, I'm not sure when his birthday is.
I don't know. I definitely...
My phone is gone.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to see it.
How old is... Oh, I've got no service here. No, I'm pretty sure, yeah, he's 58, but yeah, he'll be turning 59 quite soon. But yeah, it's finally happening. You said it wasn't going to happen, do you remember?
Yeah, I'm shocked. Again, I think these are 2-minute rounds?
Yes, 16 ounce.
And 16 ounce. So again, maybe it's hard to knock somebody out in 16s.
Really,
well, it's hard to knock someone like Mike Tyson out in 16s.
Right. So you think a decision, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, look, in my opinion, is it 8 rounds?
I don't know, actually. Definitely 2 minutes. I don't know if it's 8 rounds, though. It might be. I don't know. I should do my research on it. But,
yeah, well, I mean, that's a difference. Look, I understand what an exhibition match is, but if you're billing this as a real fight and you're selling it as a...
Pro box rec, it's a pro fight.
They can't be on box rec as a pro fight because it's 2-minute rounds. Unless they're girls. Are they both girls?
I don't know. It's on box rec, yeah, with the licenses.
If they're both girls, then it can be 2-minute fights because no professional boxing fight for a man can ever be 2 minutes. It's not in the history of boxing has there been a pro fight that's been 2-minute rounds.
Well, this is the first one.
So then they're changing the rule of boxing for a payday because that's not how it goes. I don't mind 4 rounds, 6 rounds, 8 rounds, like when you can intimately do that and still be on box rec. But 2-minute rounds, that's what girls do. So it's just, again, I don't know.
You'll be watching nevertheless on Netflix.
100% I'm going to be watching it with popcorn and a beer. And from being in a wheelchair to a crutch to a walk, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll still watch it.
Yeah.
I'll still watch it.
Still be tuning in on Netflix. Will Netflix become a massive player in the combat sports world? Do you reckon? Yeah,
I mean, I think arguably when all sports is moving on to certain streams, like if a stream picks up a sport, and that's it, you're going to buy that stream. You look at Netflix now, has everything. The fact that it has sports or it has movies, it's great. I pay my monthly anyway, right? It's a great thing. It's going to take over pay-per-views if people aren't careful or aren't smart.
Yeah.
This is a very smart move from Jake's team.
Yeah, certainly,
It's a great move.
Yeah, correct to them. They've done well getting this sorted. Anything else coming up for you, though, in the next few weeks? Any other fighters or any fights?
I have 5 guys fighting in Polaris, a really good big grappling tournament on pay-per-view this week. It's in Crystal Palace. Michael Page is fighting on it, Norbert Benny, Christian Osbeck, Nathan Jones. I've got loads of guys fighting on it, and then I've got another Nathan Rose fighting on an MMA fight this weekend as well, and then we've got some other boxing stuff coming up at the end of the year as well. So about to sign some big ones.
Well, some guys, some Misfits, you're saying, or some guys?
Oh, there'll be some Misfits fights coming up soon as well. But I mean, there's some big boxing fights coming up as well that we're just negotiating, trying to sort.
Are you still guys training with TikkyTokky?
Yep, we still do some work with him. You got yourself a hugely popular and talented kid, which I think that people want to see how can his level of rudeness be matched with his level of intensity? Because the kid's he can talk and he can punch, so it's a good combination for selling a fight. Yeah, he's a talent.
No, for sure. HS is a big star. Yeah, his numbers do translate through the what's it called, the analytics on the zone. So yeah, HS is a big star. More things. KSM McGregor. Is there even a possibility when McGregor's got 2 fights left in his UFC contract, and typically when a UFC fighter gets out of contract, they got a 1-year clause for just waiting around, or because you've got the prime relationship with UFC, it could happen a little bit sooner than people would think?
Yeah, I think anything's possible. I mean, we have to understand that it's all about money. So McGregor was in contract with the UFC when he fought Mayweather. If we pay the right people, we get what we want. If everyone gets paid, everyone gets what they want, and that's a deal to be structured. There's massive deals to be done, and people just have to get paid. If you've got a contract with someone, congrats, well done. We have to pay out of it, involve you somehow, cut you in, and that's what we do. If we're going to get the biggest fights in the world, you have to be prepared to pay big numbers and do good business with people. No. Yeah, and so long as you're honourable with it and you do the right thing, then that's done. And people can trust that, then that's what it should be done.
Yeah.
I think that fight's huge. And there's a bunch of huge fights around for KSI.
That's the biggest right now.
I think that's a huge fight. I mean, obviously the Jake fight's enormous, but these guys don't want to agree on weight.
No. You wouldn't go above 185 for KSI.
It's interesting because we fought our whole time in the 170s, and every time we've offered a weight, he's gone up a weight. And now he's gone up a weight. And he said that he wants to fight Tommy Fury at 185, and he'll fight Nate at 185 in MMA or whatever. And we're like, okay, we'll fight you at 185. Just do the fight. We're not even at that weight. Like, that's not our natural weight. We're coming up in weight to fight. You're coming down in weight.
Natural weight is like 175, 170. Yeah. Between those two.
He can make 170 easy. He's made 170 like 3-4 times easy. It's not McGregor wanted to fight at 170. We'd be at 170, no problem.
Yeah.
Easily. We can make those weight. Making the weight's not an issue for us. I think what the issue is, people don't get, is the unfairness of somebody who's much, much heavier coming down to a weight that they're comfortable and us coming up. Coming up never does anyone any favours. It takes years to put on solid muscle and solid weight and solid power. And then even then, you're fighting a guy who's naturally heavy, who could hold the shot better. You know what I mean? Like guys at 200 pounds, 220 pounds, when they get hit, it's
like how long John Jones took to go up to heavyweight. It took like 2 yeyears. He took you 2 years out so you can get used to that size.
Exactly, and even now, he doesn't want to take a shot from any of those big heavyweights. Like, no one wants to take a big shot from a heavyweight on the chin. Boxing is different. MMA, there's lots of other options that you can go to. For boxing, it's a headshot or a body shot, mostly a headshot. That being said, 200 pounds, when someone like Jake will sit behind a guard, he was at 230, 240, cutting down to 200 for his last fight. These guys sit behind a double guard and be boring and do nothing, and you're plugging them. You're like, hitting a heavy bag. I'll do this for a few rounds, but number one, it's boring. Number two, I'm not landing the shot that I want to land because they're just double guarding. But number three, it helps if I was that weight. If I was that weight and I was hitting you and you're double guarding, you wouldn't be double guarding. You understand what I mean? So I think being a bit of a weight bully is a good thing, and it's great if you can do it, but if you're on the other end of it, not so good.
Yeah.
So I think meet at a fair weight. They're both put 185, right?
Yeah.
It's a fair weight. Like we came up, we weighed in at like 183, and we weighed in with our tracksuit and a bottle of water in our hand. Like we weighed in, we didn't have to cut for Tommy. We didn't do anything for Tommy. We walk on the weighing scale. Tommy cut like 30 pounds, and we didn't do anything. We took that fight to show how good we are, and I thought we showed everyone, that Tommy Fury couldn't land a jab on us, couldn't knock you out, couldn't do anything.
With the rematch, I know Tommy's not going. He turned down. I'm a celebrity, so that was kind of making the news. Would that rematch be more competitive now that Tommy Fury knows how KSI boxes? He knows he's that awkward.
Yeah, no, not at all. I mean, KSI's got 10 times more game than that. We just did that for that one thing, just so that we could put him off his jab and land our shots, which we did. And and Tommy had no answer for it. It's that simple. He's a simple guy because he's been trained relatively well. You know what he's going to do is quite predictable. So therefore, he was easy to coach against. I didn't find him that troublesome. For being a 10-0, Fury, I didn't think he was that good. If I'm brutally honest with you, and if we had the rematch, he'd get absolutely knocked out, 100%. First of all, arguably whether you think we beat him or not, it was that close that you even thinking whether we beat him or not. Number two, we did it way better than way better than Jake Paul. And number three, doesn't matter what Tommy said, he didn't land anything, and he's supposed to be the pro boxer.
No, you're not wrong there. Anyway, Alexis, as always, I do appreciate it. Yeah, thanks very much.
Pleasure. Perfect.
Thank you. Fantastic.
Cheers.